¿Qué pasa to the pack? It's Pack here. Listen, I've talked about the best in the NBA at every single category in NBA 2K22, but it's the opposite. We're talking about the shitters who are the worst players in the NBA in every single category. I'm going to cover that in today's video, but before the video starts, please be an OG, join the pack, subscribe, leave a like on the video. It helps the video grow. Let's get this video started. For Layup, it's Boban Marjanovic. I think I understand why they did this, right? So there's layup, and then there's like standing layup, which is like your close shot, right? That's why Boban's close shot's an 83, but his driving layup, or I guess layup, is a 50, because he's not necessarily somebody that's gonna run down the lane and lay it up, right? But I do think it's kind of weird. Like, if you really think about it, like, he's 7'4". If he's driving wide open, I feel like he should still be able to get a layup off, right? So I think that one's a little odd, but according to 2K, his driving layup's only a 50. Now, when it comes to standing dunk, there's literally like 30 point guards that cannot do a standing dunk and they have a 25 rating. So Trey Burke is an example of that, but there's literally like tons and tons and tons of players that have a low standing dunk. It's not uncommon. For the driving dunk, though, it's a little less common. It's actually Ricky Rubio with a 25 driving dunk. Like, it's still pretty common. There's a couple point guards that can't do it, but like, it's way less than standing dunk where like very few players can do it. In fact, when you think about it, like almost every NBA player can probably dunk. It's just that can they dunk in game is a very different thing. Now for close shots, surprisingly, it's Rondo with a 40. I'm really surprised with Rondo having the lowest close shot in the NBA. Like, doesn't Rondo do like a floater here and there? Like, I guess not. So I guess underneath the basket or doing little runners and stuff, Rondo just doesn't do that apparently. It's only driving layups, I guess. Now for the mid-range shot, get ready to hear this name a lot. DeAndre Jordan with a 25 midi. Yeah, DeAndre Jordan's not necessarily good at anything besides one thing, and that's always been what he's good at, which is like catching lobs and I guess playing defense. Besides that, he's not necessarily good at anything else, and so he cannot shoot, right? And so his midi is a 25, and he's the only player in the NBA with a 25 midi. Same thing goes three-pointer. There's a bunch of centers that can't shoot threes in NBA 2K22, but the one name that's most popular is DeAndre Jordan, 25 three-point shot. And yeah, it's not really surprising when he can't do anything else. With the free throw, though, there's only one NBA player that struggles more than anybody, and that is Jakob Poeltl with a 35 free throw rating. You know, Jakob is a good defender. He can rebound. He can maybe score in the post here and there, but more than anything, he sucks at everything else, and that specifically is free throws. When he gets fouled, he misses the damn shot. It's very frustrating. With post hook, literally every guard and point guard, for example, Kevin Porter Jr. has a 25 post hook, because why would they ever have a post hook? That doesn't make any sense. But when it comes to post fade, only one NBA player has a 25 post fade, and that is Jordan McClellan. Yeah, I guess he just never, ever does a fadeaway shot. I mean, he has a midi of 74, so it's not necessarily horrible at shooting, but he just never post fades, I guess, apparently. Now with post control, I'll just say Jordan McClellan again, but like, there's very few point guards that have any kind of post control, so 25 for him as well as like 25 point guards. Now when it comes to drawing fouls, I was pretty surprised when it came to Matisse Thybulle. Now, I'm not saying that Matisse is actually not terrible at scoring in the paint, so I'm kind of surprised he doesn't get fouled a lot. When I looked at his free throw shots, he gets fouled twice a game. I mean, that's on like 20 minutes. Then that was last season, by the way. That's not necessarily bad, so I'm surprised his drawing fouls rating is so low, right? You would think it's other players, but I guess Matisse is a passive player when it comes to scoring, so I guess. Now, for shot IQ, it's actually Sekou Doumbouya on the Lakers. It just says that he shoots very terrible shots. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Russell Westbrook, but I guess Sekou is the worst in the NBA, apparently. I mean, there's a reason he doesn't play a lot, and that's probably because he shoots bad shots. So, pass accuracy, it's a bunch of centers, 25 overall for DeAndre Jordan, and like a bunch of other centers also have a 25 overall. So yeah, I mean, centers aren't necessarily known for their passing capabilities unless you're like Jokic. So yeah, that makes sense. With ball handle, though, that is DeAndre Jordan with a 30. Nobody in the NBA has a more terrible time when they put the ball on the floor like DeAndre Jordan does. Speed with ball is a lot of NBA players. Rudy Gobert is just another example of one of the players that has no speed when they put the ball on the floor, but there's a lot of centers that have a 25. When it comes to hands, it is Bismack Biyombo with a 35. I don't understand what hands is supposed to be. Is it supposed to be when you catch the ball? Is it supposed to be when you're catching lobs? Is it supposed to be like trying to intercept passes? I guess it's all of them, and I guess Biyombo's not good at catching lobs, but JaVale McGee's good at catching lobs, and he has a 35 hand, so I don't necessarily know what this is supposed to be. For pass IQ, it is Jericho Sims on the Knicks. Well, there's probably a lot of reasons why he has a low pass IQ. First, he's a center. Centers don't really pass the ball that often and have a good passing sense. On top of that, he really just catches lobs, so I get it. Now, for vision, it's Moses Brown as a center. Again, he's the only center in the NBA that has a 25 vision, though, so it's kind of interesting. I guess he just doesn't look up when he gets the ball, I guess he's just bad at that. Now, offensive consistency was really interesting because there was only 3 NBA players. First of them was Rondo. I guess he's really bad. I mean, that makes sense to me because Rondo, especially now at his older age, isn't like a 20-point per game scorer. Like, he could drop 20, but then he also drops nothing. So that kind of makes sense to me. Nerlens Noel only has a 25 offensive consistency. That's also because he either catches like 5 lobs or nothing. So that makes sense. And then Lakers Avery Bradley. I swear, sometimes I forget Avery Bradley's even in the NBA, and then another night he drops 20 and has a great defensive game. So like another player where that makes total sense. With interior defense, there's like 50 point guards that have a 25 rating, like Dennis Smith Jr., like Damian Lillard. It's just they're not good at stopping people in the post when you're short and not strong. That's what's gonna happen. But when it comes to perimeter defense, only one NBA player struggled, and that's Goga with a 25 perimeter defense. There's a couple players that had like 30, 40, but only one with 25. And I guess the reason is he's never been necessarily fast. So like when you're a point guard and you see Goga on you, you're just like, well, this is free. You just drive it because like he cannot keep up with you. When it comes to steal, it is a 27 for Robin Lopez. He may have a pretty good block with 70, but steals 25. But it's interesting how Robin Lopez might be the only player on this list that was the best in the world at post hooks, but he's the worst in the world at steal. So he's the best and worst at something. And I think he's the only player that's like that. When it comes to block, it's actually TJ Warren. And that's actually kind of crazy because TJ Warren has a 25 block and a 35 steal. But his perimeter defense is a 62, which isn't necessarily like awful. I mean, it's not good, but it's not awful. So like, why is your block and steal so low? He's kind of like me. Like IRL, like I never really go for a steal or a block because I feel like those are risky plays, right? And I'd rather just get a good defensive possession than like go for a risky steal or block, right? It's not like I never go for a block, and it's not like I never go for a steal, but he does get like 0.5 blocks and 1 steal a game. But 1 steal a game isn't bad. I don't know. This is a very weird rating for him. So I'm going to say right now, offensive rebound and defensive rebound, it is Kiefer Sykes. So he has a 25 offensive rebound and a 34 offensive rebound. He's only a 73 overall on the Pacers, and I believe he's a rookie because he hadn't played last season. So I guess he's just not known for rebounding at all. He's 5'11", so that kind of makes sense to me. For lateral quickness, it's Robin Lopez again at 25. So again, somebody that's not necessarily good at one thing, but the best in one other. It's a specialized player for sure. For help defense IQ, it is Freedom. Don't laugh. So 39 overall help defense IQ. He's very, very bad at defense just in general. But one thing that's interesting about him is that he was almost the worst at like everything in this video so far. But this is the first thing he was actually the worst at. And this is not going to be the last time you see his name. He's almost the worst at everything. He might be the worst NBA player, according to 2K. Now, pass perception is John Collins 38. This one was really interesting to me. Apparently, he's really, really, really bad at seeing who's going to pass the ball when. His defense in that sense is really poor, apparently, and I didn't know that. Defensive consistency is Ennis Freedom as well, and that's not a surprise. We all know he's just bad at defense, just consistently bad. You know, honestly, his defensive consistency should be a 99 because it's consistently awful. Let's just get this out of the way now. Speed and acceleration are Boban. Nobody in the NBA is slower than him because he's 7'4", who's also not athletic. So obviously he's going to be slow, but that's not why he's in the NBA. He's in the NBA because he's tall. Strength is Josh Primo, who's a 27 strength. Listen, man, he's 6'4", he weighs just as much as me, and he's 18 years old. Yeah, he's pretty weak. That's gonna be normal, so that's not surprising. I feel like I'm abusing Boban's name in this video, but vertical 40 for Boban. He literally cannot jump a curb, but he doesn't have to because all he needs to do is jump 2 inches and he can dunk it. That's crazy. So stamina and also duration is the lowest for Hassan Whiteside. I can see stamina. He barely plays and he's never necessarily played for a long time, so I get that. Duration, I know he gets hurt, but there's other players that get hurt way more. So that one's interesting for real. And then finally, hustle with Torey Craig, 35. Damn it, Craig! Okay, I think my camera got scared of that because it cut off, but okay. That is everybody in the NBA who is the worst at something. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comments below. And if you like the channel, please give it a sub. I'll see you guys next time.